what I want to do is kind of unpack the concept of this idea of six figures, because essentially, if you think about what six figures is, it's $10,000 or $8,500 a month over a 12-month period is $100,000, right? Or if we round it off to 10K, that's 120 grand. So why is this number significant, right? It seems to be the freedom number. It seems to be a number that people use to go, if I could just generate 10K a month, I'm okay. I've got some sense of freedom. I've got some flexibility. I've got a sense of a lifestyle. And so there's this figure that is constantly bandied around that, you know, get to six figures. Now, for every six figures that you generate, adds a multiple, or also adds leverage to your business as well. So for every, so if you worked in chunks, right? Let's say the goal was, I want to get to 10K, I want to get 10K a month. That your next goal would be to double that, to go to 20K per month. And then your next goal would be to triple that, to go to 30K per month. Now, if you're working steady, if you're working part-time, and I'm talking about, you know, 5 or 6 hours a week that you were dedicated to generating clients, you can get to 360K a year in less than 3 months, right? You can get to an annualized revenue of $360,000 in less than 3 months by doing that, if you're just dedicated. Because essentially what that meant is that you're dealing with essentially 10 clients paying you 3 grand a month, 36K per client, 360 grand over the course of the year, right? So those are the numbers, or those are the things that kind of play out, right? And when we think about those numbers, we often forget what constitutes getting to those numbers, right? So I'm going to kind of unpack this with you as we go through. Write notes, write as many notes as you like. I am going to be able to answer questions here. So I'm happy to answer some questions for you. And like I said, the whole goal here is to give you every opportunity to apply this to your business, because adding $10,000 isn't a difficult thing, right? Most people just don't do the work that they need to do to make that a reality. And there are some missing pieces that a lot of people have that this is where they struggle, right? And the missing piece that I believe a lot of people struggle with is just the clarity piece. The clarity that you can actually get the result, and then being able to articulate that, or to engage that with an audience of people who are interested in what it is that you have to offer. So that's the second piece of the puzzle, right? And the third piece of the puzzle is most people are just struggle with this concept of selling and asking people to spend money with them. We get into this mindset as business owners and it's a danger that we get into this mindset as business owners in the agency world, that what we do is we actually go through a process where we tell people a lot of stuff. We give away a lot of information, a lot of value, but we forget to ask them if we can actually help them and work with them, right? That's probably the biggest crime that people commit in business, is they forget to ask, or they're reluctant to ask somebody to make a financial commitment. So they either forget to do it, or they're reluctant to do it. So these are the two scenarios that occur, or actually there's 3 scenarios, because one is the clarity piece. These are the 3 scenarios that stop people from getting clients, right? Now, the other thing also is to go down this path of generating 6 figures, or starting to generate clients in your business, is some of us offer too many things, right? So for me, if I made a plan, and if I was executing on this plan, I would just pick one thing that I would make an offer or talk about. I'd pick one thing that I know that I've got a level of confidence in, right? I'd pick one thing that I know that I've got a level of confidence in to be able to get a result, and just talk about that, right? So my first thing is to pick the one thing, right? One thing, not I want to do websites, I want to do SEO, I want to do Facebook, I can do everything, right? Email marketing. I can be the general practitioner, like, jack of all trades, but master of none, right? But I want to pick something that I'm confident in delivering. That's the number one thing as part of this process of generating this revenue. I just want to pick one thing that I know that if I do this thing, it's going to get a result. So that's the first piece in the puzzle. The second piece in this puzzle is that I need to know who is going to buy this thing. And my question is, why? Why do they need to buy this now? So my first thing is, what is the thing that I'm offering? In understanding the thing that I'm offering, what is the impact of that? So let's say I'm doing Facebook ads, and I know that if I can get a client 30 to 50 opportunities to buy their services, if that was my goal, right? And I knew how to do that. Like, I knew how to go and put a campaign together, put a strategy together, go and get 50 leads for a client. I know how to do that on Facebook. So if I've got that skill, or if you have that skill, or whatever skill you have, whatever it is, the skill or the knowledge you have for delivery, right? That you know that if you implemented this, there would be a result for the client. There would be a result for the client, right? So that's the first thing. We've got to kind of be super clear about offering. I'm going to give you some examples of this. If we were doing Facebook, if doing AdWords, Dana, good to see you here. Johnny, good to see you here. Stefan, good to see you here. Letitia, good to see you here. Ashwin, Howard, and George, good to have you. I know there's a few people jumping on as we go forward. So I'm super clear about my offer. I'm super clear about the result that I can deliver. I know how I'm going to do that, what it's going to take to get that done, right? So now my next question is, who is going to benefit? Now, we are going to be in two places. We're either just starting out, or we're in a niche, right? We're either just starting out. G'day, Susan, how you doing? Good to see you here. We're either just starting out, or we're in a new niche. These are two places that we're in, right? So if I was kind of just starting out, my goal was just go and get a client, right? Well, my goal is to go and get a client as quickly as possible, a paying customer. I don't care what I charge that client. If I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get that customer to pay me money, that's what I would do. Like, if you're just starting out and you don't have a client, go and make an offer to say, let me fix this for you. Make a ridiculous random price deal offer for them and get to work, right? Then do it to the second one and third one. And before you know it, you've got some confidence and you're going to be able to scale pretty quickly. You're going to start to leverage and get that happening very quickly. Every single person I know, if it was pulling their finger out, you should be able to generate at least 3 clients in the first 30 days, a client every 10 days. You should be able to do that. You should be able to do that if you know what you're doing in relation to what you're delivering. If you know that it helps a certain type of business, you want to be putting yourself out there. And that's the other thing, that's the missing piece for a lot of people, is they're looking for the trick or the hook or the thing that's just going to cut it for them. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that, right? You've got to have a sense of the fact that you want some purpose and you want to actually get this done. And you want to do as many things as possible in the early stages, right, to get it done, right? But the number one thing is the goal of the idea is to have a conversation with someone about what you do and how you help people, right? That's the number one idea. Who can I talk to today that I can share this idea with, that it may help them, and if they're interested, I'm going to offer them my services to implement what it is that I'm offering, right? So it's a simple, the offer is one, hey, would you like to, there's 2 offers you can make. One offer is, I can get you this result. Are you interested, right? The second offer is, hey, let me show you how this works, because most people get it wrong, right? The second offer is, let me show you how this works. Most people get it wrong. Those are the 2 offers that you want to do. And I'm going to craft an offer that I would run out with as an example to go and get clients. And I'll tell you exactly what I would do to go and get customers. And I'm going to pick a random niche, a niche that I don't serve, right? So I'm just going to go and pick a random niche, and I'm going to go, this is what I would do to go and get clients in this niche straight away, right? So, and if I was to pick an offer, let's say I'm going to go and do, I'm going to do lead ads. So I'm going to do Facebook lead ads, right? I'm going to do Facebook lead ads, and I'm going to work towards generating an appointment. Like, going to filter leads, get an appointment. That's my deal, right? So I'm going to run some lead ads for an offer for this niche that I'm just going to randomly pick, right? And my idea is to filter the customer into the offer, into an appointment situation in the sales cycle, right? So that's roughly that's my offer, right? Talk about the one thing you got to have is you got to have your offer. That's number one, right? So it doesn't matter what offer. If you're selling e-commerce optimization, if you're selling SEO, if you're selling, it doesn't matter what you do, right? What is the thing and what is the outcome of what you do? That's the thing that you need to be very clear about. In my case, what I want to do is do 3 things. When I'm talking about Facebook advertising, I'm going to do 3 things. One, I'm going to brand and message brand and put out a message for a client with a direct offer to a result for a sale, to drive towards a sale. The second thing is going to build a database of customers who are interested in the service for this customer so that you can build the database and they can remarket to or retarget to. And the third thing is that I want to be able to set up ultimately automation to manage the leads down the track, right? So number one, message to market for result. Number two, build a database of prospective customers who are interested in the service. And number three, I want to actually look at setting up automation for the future so that we're nurturing those relationships, because I know not everybody's going to buy on the first hit, right? So that's my offer. That's what I'm going to run out to as an offer to the market. And now I've got to pick a niche, right? So if I was starting out, I always go to friends, family first. If I was kind of starting out, I would go and talk to people, say, let people know what you do. Like the whole goal or the whole plan here is to get 3 to 4 clients paying you 2.5 to 3 grand a month. That's 10 grand a month, right? That gives you, that puts, well, it's actually 9 grand a month, but it puts you into a category of $108,000 in annualized revenue if you keep that customer going, right? So it's only 3 clients, right? It's not a lot. And you should. If you cannot get 3 clients in 45 days, you're not working. You're not offering anything to anybody. You're not talking to anybody. It's impossible to not make sales. It's impossible. If you are actively engaging people, it's impossible to not get clients, because people need help. When you offer that service, when you offer your service out there in the market, people need help. They need help. So the more you understand of what the problems are around what it is that you deliver, the more you can help them, right? So I'm going to talk, in this case, Facebook. I'm talking, Dano says, let's do yacht charter. Right now, I'm 100% sure on delivery. That's awesome. Okay, great. So you got it. So we've got a few people. Dano says, pick the yacht charter industry as a niche. You know what, Dano? I'm not going to pick that, that niche purely because oh no, I do have some friends in the yacht charter industry. I could pick that as a niche. No, I'm not going to pick it as a niche because it's kind of a little bit obscure. There's a bit of work to be done to build a relationship to get to the market. Because I've got to speed up. So one of the things, if you're picking that market of the yacht charter companies, you've got to act. It's almost like you've got to build a relationship really fast. So within a couple of weeks' time, you've got to bombard them, like you've got to blast them with a lot of stuff to build that relationship, introduce yourself, get them to know you. Like you really want to get to the appointment. So you're going to be working probably about 2 to 3 weeks to get an appointment in that market. You could do that sooner, you could do that faster, but it all depends on the messaging to the market. So I'm not going to choose that particular niche only because I know to map out that strategy, I've actually got to think through a little bit more specifically to the problems. And I know that industry mainly works through agents. They don't work direct online. However, they should be promoting online. And I know that the channels for something like that, especially lifestyle, is Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, those sorts of things for the market. Stefan says LinkedIn lead gen. Great. The LinkedIn lead gen niche. I'm not sure if that is a niche. Or if the people who are selling LinkedIn lead generation are your clients, Stefan. I'm not sure if that's what you're saying here on the chat. So I'm going to kind of randomly pick a business here, and let's think somewhere where people need lots of inquiries. You know what? I'm going to go after a restaurant. I'm going to go after restaurants because restaurants have been hit pretty hard. They've been massively hit by COVID. You would think that would be a very challenging market to go into, but it's actually not. It's actually not. And there are a lot of things you can do in restaurants. I'm going to choose restaurants, Facebook ads, and what I'm going to sell is events. I'm going to sell events for restaurants, right? How do they book functions and events, opening up to getting those sorts of things. So I'm going to do Facebook ads to attract events for restaurants. Preferably parties of 10 or more, so 10 or more people. So the average sale is going to be in the $1,000 range, $1,000 to $2,000 for a function. Yeah, I would say I'm looking for functions where people are spending $1,000 plus, right? Because if we're going to run Facebook ads, then my cost of acquisition is going to be probably about knowing that market. It's probably going to be around the $15 to $30 market, 15 to 30 bucks a lead. So I'm going to get for every $300, I'm going to get about 40 50 leads for about, well, 30 to 40 leads for about $1,000 is roughly what I'm going to get. So my budget that I'm looking for is about $1,000. I'm going to get about 30 leads, 30 opportunities. Out of 30 opportunities, they should be able to book between 3 and 5 functions if they were smart and followed through. If they followed through more effectively, they should be able to book 6 to 10 out of the 30. Should be able to close 1 in 3 if they're an event for a venue, because the person's coming to them. It all depends on how they're able to help them book, right? So I want to sell events. So one of the things I do know with restaurants is the restaurants need to let people know they're open right now. Restaurants need to let people know right now that they are open for business. We've just gone through the pandemic. We've just gone through a whole bunch of lockdowns. A lot of states are opening up. They're allowing people to actually, more people to come into venues, right, around the world. So, you know, in Australia, you can have 150 people in a venue. Well, actually, that's changed. That's gone up to 500 for events. But you can have 150 people in a venue, in a restaurant at any one time, as long as there are social distancing practices that are employed and there are COVID systems in place to make sure that you manage people's opportunity in or that time they have in the restaurant. So if I'm picking the restaurant market, I'm going to do Facebook ads. I want to get 30 opportunities a month. Out of that 30 opportunities, I'm hoping that they're going to book between 3 and 6 events. If the average event was, let's say, $2 to $3 grand, they're going to make $6,000 to $9,000 or more per campaign. My cost of the campaign is going to be about $1,000, right? My budget or my management fee, I'm going to charge $2 grand. Right, so to get 100K, I need 4 clients, $8 grand a month. That's $108,000 a year, right? So I need 4 restaurants to do that. Now, my first go-to is people who I know who know somebody who runs a restaurant. That's my first go-to. If I want to get clients really fast and I want to sell, who do I know right now who's running a restaurant who needs bookings, right? Individual bookings are great, but you want party bookings. Who's accepting parties? So my question to the market, or maybe part of my campaign, is right now, are you accepting group bookings for events that are going to spend between $2,000 and $5,000 or more? Are you accepting group bookings for events that are investing $5,000 or $2,000 to $5,000? Sorry, $3,000 to $5,000 or more, right? 3 to 5 grand or more. Are you accepting? Can you accept groups right now, right? Or are you accepting right now? That's my question. Hey, do you know any venues that you know that are happy to take on functions and parties right now that do bookings? Can I talk to them, right? Because all I want to do is talk to the restaurant owner, right? And I'm going to say, do you want events, right? I want to work with you to generate event opportunities, right? To book in this thing, and I want to see you get a positive ROI on this. So is that something that might be useful to your venue right now? I know that I can send a message, an email out to restaurant owners, and I know they're not going to read my email. So I'm going to pick up the phone and say, listen, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. This is what I'm working on right now. I'm working towards helping restaurants book events that they're going to spend between $3,000 and $5,000 plus. Can you handle events of 15 or more people in your venue? And are you accepting bookings right now? That's the question I'm going to ask, right? Can you do this? Are you accepting bookings right now? So can we sit down and talk about how we can bring those types of bookings into your restaurant right now? Because that's where you're going to leverage your capital. That's where you're going to make your profitability is on larger groups. And we want to be able to set up a system where you're continually booking more and more of these. Is that something that might be helpful? Yes or no? So I know that restaurants, there'll be restaurant owners, they'll be at least interested in the conversation. They'd be at least interested in the conversation, right? So my offer is really simple. Let's book some parties, right? Let's book some events. My second thing is, are you accepting them? Do you want them? And is it worthwhile having a chat about that, how that can happen? I cannot believe a restaurant owner right now who is handling bookings is going to say, no, I'm not interested in booking events. I'm not interested in getting customers into my restaurant. I'm not interested in people spending money on a function or catering with me. I'm not interested. I only want people to rock up to my door onesie twosie. That's what I want, right? So I know that that's something that's going to be of interest, right? The problem is what are they doing to attract those events? What, if you can make the most money out of a particular aspect of business, what are you doing to attract those events? And most people will say nothing. We let people know they can. We've got it on our website. But we're not promoting it, right? So one of the things that I do know is people do want to gather as a group. They've been stuck, isolated for a year, and now one thing that I know that is optimized for people is they want to hang out. They want to hang out with friends and family. They want to create an excuse to get together. And restaurants have the perfect way of doing this. So I only want to, so my question is how I'm going to go and find these restaurants, right? Well, there's plenty of directories. There's, if I just did a Google and said, party bookings, I can find bucket loads of restaurants that do party bookings, right? Or event bookings. So it's not hard to find them. But my first go-to is, do I know anybody who knows someone who runs a restaurant? So if we were doing this with you, and let's say you chose another particular niche, the first thing I would ask is there anybody in my network that knows somebody who runs this type of business that they can introduce me to? Is there anybody in my network, anybody in my Facebook group, anybody in my LinkedIn connections, anybody, friends, family, associates? Do you know someone who runs the type of business that I'm interested in? Or do you know someone who knows someone? So my first thing is, who can introduce me? And I know out of the many friends that I have, that I can ask that question. And many friends that I have will probably know somebody. I'll bet you I could pull half a dozen restaurant owners with all the people that I've got that I'm connected to. I could probably do that in half an hour. So there's half a dozen people that I go to where I could use that connection. So, hey, listen, Bob told me that you run a particular restaurant and you're accepting event bookings. I just thought I'd reach out because Bob recommended that I should speak to you. And then Bob is going to say, oh, thanks, I know such and such. Yes, I'll accept the call. It's much easier to talk to somebody who you are referred to or recommended to than somebody you have to go cold, right? If I have to go cold, I'm going to do that in just a moment, right? But I've got to actively engage. How am I going to get to know these people? I've got to talk to people, right? So my first place always is go to my network, go to my network, go to my network, right? Who knows this person? My second thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get a list. Now, I don't need a big list. I need a list of about 25 people, right? So most people go and scrape lists of hundreds of people or thousands of people, and they try and do cold email to hundreds of people and thousands of people, and it just doesn't work, right? Because you get your accounts banned and you get slammed for spam, and there's a whole bunch of issues around running large cold email campaigns. And there's a strategy. By the way, that's not to say that large cold email campaigns don't work. They do, but there is a strategy on how to run that properly, right? And it does take a lot of work, and you've got to massage that message. I think these days it's much easier to connect with people socially and start messaging them socially in that strategy than starting to build a massive list, right? Starting to build a massive list, okay? Howard says, I have an interest from some businesses in the event industry in Florida. For event industry suppliers, I'd contact event venues and meeting planners. My answer to that, Howard, is yes, do exactly that. If you've got some contacts, do exactly that, right? So if I know social is pretty good, I want to find out who the owners are, and I want to connect with them on Facebook, right? Because Facebook's easy to friend request people, and you can start a conversation and messenger with people on Facebook. That's another quick way of finding people, right? So number one, I've got to make my offer. My offer is pretty simple. I want to help venues like you book parties that spend $5,000 or more. Would you like to, look at an idea of how we can get a whole bucket loads of those people who are interested in booking parties at your venue? Is that something you're open to? Is that something that would be useful to your venue? Is it worthwhile us just having a quick conversation about that? Just reply yes or no. Here's a message, right? Now, all I want to do is talk. All I want to do is talk, right? So all I want to do is get on that call. I don't want to do anything else. I want to get on the call. Now, for me to close 3 clients, I need to probably have about from the cold market, I probably need to speak to about 20 people. That's all I need to speak to. If I can have a conversation with 20 people in the market about this idea, I know 3 of them are going to say yes. That's the numbers, basically, even if it's cold, right? If it's cold, you're looking at 20. So if you think about your plan over the next 45 days, you've got to talk to one person every other day, right? Over the next 45 days, you've got to talk to one person every other day. You've got to get yourself in a conversation with one person every other day. That's 20 people. It's a simple plan, right? If you have a conversation with 20 people, you will close 3 deals. If your average sale is between 2 and 3 grand a month, right? That gives you 8,000 to 9,000 in revenue. That gives you $108,000 in annualized revenue, right? in cash, right? Or if you want to make 100 grand a month, go and sell a client for 100 grand and collect $100,000 up front. That's a possibility too. Bit of work involved in that strategy, but this way it works much easier, right? Makes it easy for people to buy. By the way, there's nothing stopping you from asking people to pay up front for the deal. So if you say, hey, $36,000 for a year, you can ask them to pay that up front too, right? So I've got my offer. It's pretty simple. What would I do? Go to my friends first. The second thing, go to Facebook. I would go and get a list of the top 10 restaurants. I only need 20 to 30 people in the list. I don't need very many. I want to find people who are already running ads. So I want to find people running ads for their restaurants, and I want to see what type of ads that they're running. So Google is a really simple one to do this if they're running Google ads, because then I can see where they're running their ads. If they're running their ads to a homepage, I know that the ad's not optimized. The ad fails. Anybody running an ad to a homepage, the ad is failing, because all they're doing on that homepage, all they're doing, unless they're running some sort of promotional deal, there's no direction on the homepage. You're not telling people to go book a table or book an event or whatever, right? And maybe the ad that they're running isn't really asking for people to book events. It's maybe just an ad getting people to book for dinner. So my thing is who are the restaurants that are running ads on Google first? If they're running ads directly to a homepage, I would put that person on my list. That would be a door opener right there. Because I know that if you're running an ad to a homepage that has no call to action, you're wasting money on those ads. Anybody clicking on those ads is burning cash, right? That tells me that their marketing is unoptimized. It tells me that they're spending money on marketing, which is a really good thing. But the second thing it tells me is the campaign is unoptimized. It's ineffective. It's not working, right? So I want to reach out to them and say, listen, right now you've got a big problem. And I wanted to reach out to you so you can stop that problem. Right now, you're running a campaign to a homepage and nobody's booking. You're probably wasting about 80% of your ad spend on doing that. So if we can if we can take that 80% and make it work for you, right? So you're actually booking the thing that you want to book, right? Let's have a chat, right? Because my first question to them is, you're running ads. Why are you running ads? Now that might sound like a dumb question, but I'm asking, what are you looking for in the ads that you're running? What are you expecting from these campaigns, right? That's what I want to ask. And in most cases, they're going to say, well, I want to book, right? I want bookings. Okay, great. So how much are you spending, ask the question, right? How much money are you spending on ads? And they might say, well, I'm spending $1,500 on these ads, right? So how many people have to come to your restaurant for you to break even on that $1,500? And they'll sit there and say, well, we need at least 30 bookings, 30 people, 30 or 40 people come to the restaurant off this ad, right? Just to break even, because you've got food costs, you've got operational costs and all that sort of stuff. So you're looking at they're probably making 35% as their gross. So when you multiply 35% by the per average customer, and if the average meal is let's say the average person spends $50, right? You make $15 out of every plate or out of every customer. You got to sell 100 customers, right? You got to get 100 customers off the ad to break even, not to make any money, to break even. So my question is, have you noticed 100 bookings from your ads? And they'll go, I don't know, right? Because they probably don't measure it and they don't test it. So my opener would be is to have that conversation. Say, listen, right now you're spending this amount of money. You need this amount of people to make that happen. Is that happening for you right now? Do you know that for a fact? And they go, no, right? And say, well, would it be a better idea to do it a little bit differently or to do something a little bit more effective? Would that be worth having a conversation about? And they're going to go, yes, right? So here's my idea. Rather than trying to find 100 people so that you can make $15 out of 100 people, right? What if we focused on getting people who would spend $3,000 to $5,000, a group of people, right? People who are booking functions and events. What if we ran a strategy? Because out of that, right, you're going to make, like, out of a party of, say, somebody's going to spend $5,000. Well, let's say based on your 30%, you only got to get one deal to break even. You need one customer to cover the cost of your marketing out to the marketplace. One customer. And getting that one customer, you're going to build a list of about 30 to 40 people who are interested in booking parties at your restaurant. You're going to attract 30 to 40 people from that $1,500 who are interested in spending between $3,000 and $5,000 on a function. Not today, but if you manage that relationship, they will, and you handle it, that out of 30, 40 people, you should be able to get 5 to 6 people to book those functions. 5 to 6 people, that's going to give you at 5 grand, 25, 30 grand, right? Is it worth investing 3 grand to make $25,000 to $30,000? That's the question, right? If we had a process, so one function is going to pay for this. One deal is going to pay, one party is going to pay for your campaign, right? And break even, right? So if we get 2 deals, two bookings at that deal rate, you're making money, right? 2 deals, you're making money, right? If we work together on a strategy where we can get 30 to 40 people who put up their hand who are interested in booking a function of 10 or more people in your venue, can we work together on that plan? Yes or no? Right? That would be my pitch. And if we can work together on that plan and then action that, I'll do the setup, we'll run the strategy. Your investment in this, we've got to be working together for some time, but let's start the process. The goal is that we've got to break even and make a profit. If we're breaking even, make a profit, we're marketing, right? We're spreading our wings, we're opening the door to multiple opportunities, right? And also, we're also going to open the door to referrals. So that would be my pitch to a restaurant, right? That would be my pitch to a restaurant, yeah? So if I was picking another niche, if somebody asked you wanted to share a niche here, I'm in the chats, I'm happy to talk to you about another niche. So if you want to share a niche, what niche would you pick? Johnny, I know you're in the HVAC market. We've had this conversation many times. You already know what to do, man. Go and get all the HVACers that are advertising right now. They're running ads to homepage and say, listen, dude, you don't know me from Adam, but you're spending money you're burning a hole through your marketing. I would imagine you don't want to be doing that. The reason why you're marketing is because you want to attract and engage customers. You would want to know if the money you're investing in marketing is being wasted. I would imagine you would want to know. And so I'm just touching base with you because I know this is an ineffective strategy. And if that is a challenge for you right now, it'd be pretty useful to make sure that you're running the right campaign to get the right result. You want people. The reason why you're running these ads is because you want people to buy aircon units or HVAC units. That's why you're running this ad. But right now, the campaign you're running isn't giving you that. You know, because I can guarantee you probably don't know how many inquiries you're getting, and you probably don't know how many bookings you've made so far, because they're all going to your homepage, which isn't directing people to actually buy. So if I could talk about actually getting people to put up their hand properly, qualify them, and have somebody sit down with you who wants to buy a system through you, would that be useful to you? There's your strategy, Johnny, right there for HVAC. It is really simple. I know that I could have a dozen conversations a day with HVACers all day long saying, listen, you don't know me from Adam. Let me lay this out for you. Is this worth taking the next step? Yes or no? Is it not? You let me know, right? And then I could put the same thing on an email or a message and send the email out and send the message out and say, listen, I'm just following up on what I sent you because I want to make sure you understand what it is that's going on, right? Because I'm sick and tired of people wasting money on campaigns that don't work. I want to help people actually get sales in HVAC. Is it worthwhile us having conversation? Because right now I know that I can fix what you're doing. And you know, the reason why you're advertising right now is you want to attract engaged customers. So if you're accepting customers right now, I would love to have a conversation about bringing those people who want to buy, not bringing those people who are looky-loos. So if we can eliminate the looky-loos and get to the buyers, is it worthwhile us having a conversation, Johnny? There's your script, man. That's as good as it gets, right? It's a very pragmatic script, right? For SaaS, Stephen's asking for SaaS companies. Stephen, or Stefan, what type of SaaS companies, dude? Just type in the chat, what type of SaaS companies? Or if you've got a microphone, Stefan, you can unmute and I can talk to you. But just put in what SaaS companies. So when you say SaaS, software as a service, Stefan, what type of SaaS companies? What type? What type of SaaS are they selling? They're selling CRMs, knowledge management systems, inventory control systems. You know, what are they doing, right? What type of SaaS? Yeah, then I can tell you the strategy. CRM, what type of CRM? CRM, $10 a month, $20 a month, or CRM enterprise, $100,000 engagement, $100,000 a month. What type of SaaS, right? So name some SaaSes. It'll give me an idea of who they are, because there's like 5,000 SaaSes, and there's SaaSes that charge $5 a month for their SaaS, and there's companies that charge $30,000 a year or more, and there's companies. And in fact, one of our agencies, one of the agency I'm in, we charge 125 grand a year for SaaS. So yeah. So my question to you is, what's a client worth to them? That will give you an idea of how much time you need to invest in engaging. About $1,000. Okay. So what's your strategy, Stefan? Have you worked with a CRM company right now that's got $1,000 per client, and have you been generating clients for them? You've been getting customers for them? Ashwin, what would be the Facebook strategy to find people? No. So my question to you is, how are you going to get them what they want? If you know they're getting $1,000 per customer, what is your strategy? I'm not asking you to tell the strategy to me, Stefan, but can you map out exactly what they need to do? Can you map out how much money they need to spend to acquire a customer? Can you map out how many leads you're going to get for the money they spend? If you can map out all of those things for a CRM company, then you can go to a CRM company and say, listen, I've got a plan. This is the investment. This is the result and the outcome we're looking for. Is it something of interest to you? And then I'll guarantee you, if you've mapped that out properly, Stefan, you'll have SaaS companies saying, yeah, I want to do that, right? We work with SaaS companies in the health tech space who actually specialize just in the health market, right? So they're in the medical market. Their average customer would spend anywhere between, at the low end, $6,000 a year. At the high end, customers will spend up to $100,000 to $200,000 a year. Our goal is to get them to, their biggest problem is to get subscribers to actually buy from a demonstration. So when you're saying these things to me, Stefan, you need to tell you, I need to know that you know their business. You know what their challenges are. You know what's not working for them right now, right? You know how much money they're already spending on marketing and where they're spending that money on marketing, because CRM businesses are a big business right now, right? CRM, a big business, yeah? So that's the thing, right? If you want to help these people, you need to understand their business and understand their business model. SaaS companies have three problems. Getting subscribers, that means attracting subscribers, right? That's number one. Number two, converting a subscriber from a demo into a paying customer, that's a problem. And number three is losing customers, is the dropout rate. They're the three problems that SaaS companies face. So my question to you, Stefan, is what problem are you solving for them? And how much do they need to be spending with you to make that problem work, right? You need to know that, because they're going to ask you some questions around that. So if you know the answer to those questions, Stefan, you're in the pocket to generate SaaS companies. If you're looking for SaaS companies that are funded, just go to crunchbase.com, pick CRM, companies funded to $20 million in the last 6 months. There'll probably be a couple of hundred companies you can target, and that's where your list is. And then when you want to go and generate, if you're helping them to generate subscribers, then say, hey, I've got a plan that'll help you generate more subscribers. Would you like to see the plan? There's your offer, okay? What would the Facebook strategy be to find people who wanted to book an event? So my thing, and that's a really good question, Ashwin. So thank you for asking the question. You're asking the question is, what is the campaign that I would run for the Facebook ads? You're not asking me the question of how do I get a company or a restaurant to buy my Facebook ads. So you're asking me what the strategy is for the market. So the easy strategy that I can think of, Ashwin, to just give you an example, is I would go and find campaigns that are already working. So how do I find campaigns that are already working? Look at Groupon. Look at the best performing campaigns that Groupon has for restaurants, right? Look at the best, there's mailer.com, there's a whole bunch of places you can actually look for best marketing strategy for events on Google. There are sometimes companies, marketingsherpa.com, also marketingprofs.com. If you go to those two websites and you look in case studies and you go restaurant event bookings, what you'll find are case studies where restaurants have unpacked their best performing strategies on how to generate clients. So if I was looking to create an offer for a restaurant, my first question would be, is talking to the restaurant saying, what's the best offer you've ever run to book parties or events? What's the best offer you've ever run to book events? Or have you got one? Have you had something that worked really well? Have you run a promotion in the past that works really well? So that's my first go-to. The second go-to is, let's look at what's being promoted out there right now. Who's spending money? And I would want to reach out to some of those companies that are spending that money and ask them, how's the campaign going? right? Is it working for you? Are you getting bookings, right? Because if they are and the campaign's working, then you know that they've got an offer that converts. So for me, the strategy would be to craft an offer that actually converts. That's what you're looking to get to. The best way to do that is to run offers that have already worked in the past or are already working right now. So I would go to a restaurant and say, listen, I've got 3 or 4 ideas on campaigns we can run. Here's some campaigns that I know that are working to get those bookings. Of the 3 campaigns, which do you like? Which appeals to you? Which do you feel fits? And let's run that campaign. That's how I would run a campaign strategy for a restaurant. That's how I'd run a campaign strategy for anybody. What's worked in the past, what's working right now, because the number one thing you want to come to that person with is a converting offer. So if you're looking for things that will create results for clients, one of the things that I would do is I would get a software like spyfu.com or followme.net, or I would go to iespionage.com and I would go and look at a working campaign, a campaign that's already converting. They're already spending a certain ad budget. They're giving you the keywords that they're targeting. You can use the software very easily to find campaigns that already work. And if I could find the top 3 landing pages in the market, I would actually go to the market and say, listen, I've got the top 3 performing campaigns right now that are generating this outcome. Is that something you might be interested in having a look at? Because I like to run winning campaigns, right? So if we could actually, if we've reverse engineered a winning strategy that's already generating result and converting, I would imagine you'd want a converting campaign, yes? And then they'll go, yeah, I'd love a converting campaign. Great, let me show 3 of them and you get to pick which one we can run together. There's a direct offer, Ashwin, in terms of how I'd find offers in the marketplace, right? So, so questions. I'm happy to answer your questions. If you've got a niche, I'm happy to walk you through what that niche needs. Stefan, I would go to crunchbase.com, find companies that already have money, already got funding. If you're a lead generator for subscriptions, figure out what it's going to cost to get a subscription, because they're going to ask you that question. They're going to say, how much money do we need to spend to get a subscriber? And $1,000 subscriber, my question would be, of the $1,000, how much are you willing to spend to acquire that $1,000 customer? That's the question that I would ask of the SaaS company. So when I sit down with the SaaS company and say, listen, what's your average sale? And they say, well, $6,000. My first question is, of how much of that $6,000 are you willing to spend to acquire that $6,000 customer? And sometimes I'll say things like $1,000, $1,500. So then they're going to say to you, well, that means for 10 clients, you're willing to invest $15,000. Well, I've got a $15,000 ad budget and a marketing budget. I can go and get 10 clients, right? That's not hard to do, right? So one of the ways in which you can help people get a better result is understand what the client is worth, but more importantly, understand what they're willing to pay to acquire that customer, because you want to also balance that up with the lifetime value of the customer. So for example, let's say, let's pick on chiropractors, right? Because a lot of people tend to go after that market. So the average plan of care of a chiropractor is about $2,000, right? But the referral rate of a person who goes to a chiropractor is about 30%. So one in three patients who go to a chiropractor will refer another patient to the chiropractor, because 1 in 5 people in the Western world is suffering from some form of back injury or joint injury, right? 1 in 5 people is suffering from some form of spinal or muscular or spinal injury, right? That's a lot of people, right? That means on average, a chiropractor will get 30% a referral rate. Now, if the average plan of care is $2,000, my question to that person would be, and maybe the person is going to come back at least twice a year. So the customer's lifetime value over the year might be $4,000. And then over the course of 5 years, they might be worth another $4,000, right? So let's say the average lifetime value is $8,000, but the initial value is plan of care, $2,000. So my question to the chiropractor is, if it's $2,000 for a plan of care, of that $2,000, how much would you be willing to spend to acquire that patient of that $2,000? And they'll come up with a number. Oftentimes I'll sit there and say $500. Sometimes I might even say half, $1,000, right? But on average, I'm finding that people will say between 10 and 15%, say between $200 and $300 is what they would spend to acquire a $2,000 customer. So now we're talking about budget here, right? So they're saying to you, to get 10 patients to spend $2,000, they're willing to spend $2,000 to $3,000. Now I know in the chiropractic space, I can go and get 40 patient leads for under $1,000. So for $2,000, I can get 80 opportunities. I'm going to ask the chiropractor, for 80 opportunities, do you think you're going to close a plan of, you're going to close 10 plan of cares out of 80 opportunities. And he said, that's a no-brainer. As long as we can manage the patient, we should be able to close. So setting the expectations. So one of the ways that I would anchor pricing with people is saying, what's a customer worth to you? How much of that money would you pay to buy the customer? Oftentimes that sets the budget. That sets the budget. People will sit there and go, oh, and especially when somebody says, I'll spend $1,000 to acquire a customer. Well, 10 clients, that's $10,000. I can do a lot of great campaigning if I had a 10 grand a month budget on Facebook ads. I can get lots of customers at 10 grand a month, right? You know, anybody could do that. I could get hundreds of leads for 10 grand a month, right? So that's a great way to anchor pricing or client acquisition for a customer. So the plan is very, very simple. You've got a service and you know the result. Share the result with people. Hey, do you want the result? Well, you want me to show you how this result works? Teach people what you know. Pick 20 to 25 people right now who are actively advertising. Easiest way to do that, look up on, check Google, see who's running ads. And if anybody's running an ad to a homepage, to me, they are an easy mark. They're an easy mark, right? Start with your friends first. That's what you want to do. Your plan is to, eventually what will happen is you're probably looking at a 1 in 5 conversation to turn into a client. So if you're speaking to 25 people, you should be able to get 3 to 4 customers, 3 to 4 paying clients. That's the goal, right? So happy to answer any questions. If you've got any questions, if you're here with me in the Zooms, or if you're watching me live out there in the world, if you've got a question, just ask a question and let me help you generate a client as quickly as possible, right? My goal, if I actively want to go and generate clients, I want to actively get a client within 48 hours. That's my, if I'm going client crazy mode, I want to get a paying customer in 2 days. So I want to make some direct offers. I want to follow up direct offers, have conversations, and generate that opportunity within a 48-hour period. The fastest way to do that is with a familiar list. Or if I've got a direct offer, like I've shared a couple of direct offers with you, where the person says, I like that idea, let's do it, then let's go through the process of getting that started, right? I want to work with that person as quickly as possible. So any questions? I'm happy to answer any questions. So the cold email question, there's a couple of constraints on a cold email, Stefan. Number one, you've got to have a seeded email account. If you're using Gmail, you've got to have an email that's email that is actually accepting and sending and receiving an active account. You've got to seed the account. So on a brand new email account, I'd probably be sending maybe 7 emails a day. And then I'd build it up to about 20 emails a day in the space of a few days. One of the best services for cold email that I've seen, there's quite a few, but there's 2 that I like. There's mailshake.com and then there is quickmail.io. Quickmail has fantastic send out rates for strategies on sending cold email, but you don't want to send thousands of emails. Now, I have a friend of mine, Rob, who set up a whole bunch of accounts. He's set up 25 email accounts, seeded the 25 email accounts, and then proceeded to send out 400,000 emails. Got his account shut down within 20 minutes and half an hour. All those emails were dead, but he managed to get 400 responses out of 400,000 emails. It's like less than, it's like 0.001% conversion rate. And then he followed up all those people, right? But he, he got flagged as a spammer real fast. So when sending cold emails, how many should you send? Well, you're going to break that down into the number of email accounts that you've got seeded. If I was sending out cold email, I would be using an Outlook email, not a Gmail email, because the Gmail email is you have to be seeding. And I would only probably be sending out, 20 or 30 emails max on a seeded email account to a cold market. There are plenty of other better ways of generating clients other than just cold email. It's much easier to do them through Messenger on Facebook, connecting with people. If you're going to use LinkedIn, don't actually connect with people in LinkedIn. Try and extract an email out of LinkedIn and then go direct outside of LinkedIn. That's a strategy that I would use. But the question you're asking me is there are so many answers to that question, Stefan. But you will get your accounts blocked, shut down, hammered. There are a lot of rules around email. And cold email as a strategy really depends on how well you've dialed in a message into a client. I've got people who get massive open rates. Like I've got plenty of people that I work with in Consulting Champions. Their open rates are 70, 80% on cold email. But to get to those open rates, they've really worked those conversations or communications to zero into relevancy, to engaging those people. So they tend to personalize their contact. They do a little bit of homework. And then what they do is they have a message that's relevant to solving the problems in the market. And that's how they get 75 to 80% open rates. In fact, they get comments from people emailing them back saying, wow, this is the best email that I've read, or wow, you actually got my attention on this one. I get 100 emails a day that's selling me crap. Well, the only way that happens, Stefan, is that you dial your message in. That's the only way that happens. Yeah, if you can dial your message in, you've got to rock and roll, right? So, any other questions? I'm happy to answer questions. George, Leticia, Howard, Susan. Somebody's trying to get their microphone open. So, if you've got a question, just type it in the question in the chat, and I'll answer your questions. The other thing that I would say that will get you there faster is if you just do a little bit every day. Like just block some time and just do the thing. Reach out, send the message, follow the message up, see if they got the message, have a conversation, see if you can get them on the phone. That's the idea. And if you're doing a little bit every day, I'll guarantee you'll get clients. Just a little bit every day. It's just the focused activity of engagement. If we're always waiting for somebody to come to us, then what I would do is if I want leads that way, then I would run my own Facebook campaign. If you're really good at running Facebook ads, then run your own Facebook ads. You should be able to run lead ads. You should be able to get 100 leads for anywhere between 500 to 600 bucks. It's not a lot. 500 to 600 bucks for 100 leads. Out of those 100 leads, you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 people that are really interested, but you're going to have to build that relationship, and you're going to have to contact them, and you're going to nurture them. Exactly what your clients would do, you would be doing to the leads that you generate. But that's the other way, right? Where you're getting them to come to them, but you've got to actively follow that lead up, right? They've come to you. You've got to actually get to that lead as quickly as possible. So the fastest way to get leads is run ads. Run ads run a lead ad, right? That lead ad has to be relevant, has to be targeted. I would probably spend, $20 a day on a lead ad, right? For $20 a day, I could probably get anywhere between 3 and 5 leads a day. Right? Do that for 20 days, and you got 100 leads. Now, if you've got 100 leads, you need to work the 100 leads. You don't just get 100 leads and then go, oh, some people interested, some people not interested. There's a reason why they opted into your campaign, right? So now you've got to work those 100 leads, right? You've got to work those 100 leads. Yeah. Get them on the phone, ask them questions, provide relevant information, make the offer, right? That's what you've got to do. And all you're trying to do is get into the conversation. You're inviting people to get into the conversation. All I want is a 10-minute chat. That's all I want. If we can go on a call for 10 minutes, let me show you this thing. If you're interested, that'd be great. If you're not, at least you've learned something, right? To see if you're a fit. That's the process. So other than running direct ads to a campaign for you, there's what I've just shared with you is identifying who, find out the person, connect with them socially, get their email address if you can, shoot out a message, follow that message up and say, hey, I shot this message out to you. If you can give me 60 seconds, I can let you know what that's all about, and you can tell me whether or not we should continue the conversation. The reason I'm reaching out to you is because this is a problem. I can see that you already have a problem, but I can see that you're actually interested in getting a result. If I can talk to you about the result, would that be something, I like the statement, would that be something useful to you? And oftentimes people will say, yes, that would be useful to me, right? If you've got a question, feel free to type in the question. For those of you who are here, if you haven't already, I'm just going to share my screen here. That should show up. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Johnny, can you see the screen? You can. Okay, so on the 25th and the 26th, I'm running a 2-day, 2 4-hour sessions. What we're doing is we're breaking down key strategies, crafting real-time offering campaigns, working towards actually actively engaging markets right now that are saying, hey, we need help from an online marketing point of view, right? It's a $97 ticket. We call it the Web Event for Good. We're actually raising money for worthy causes. For every $97 ticket, there is one child is going to have their education paid for an entire year. Three families are going to have, for the first time in their lives, fresh, clean water plumbed into their home. That is life-changing for families to have fresh, clean water plumbed into their house. And we're planting 20 tangerine trees for farmers so they can generate revenue for the fruit to support their families. So every $97 ticket is a ticket for good. It's a 2-day event with me, working with you. I am actually keeping this fairly small. There's not going to be hundreds of people on this event, but it is for a good cause. My cause to you is to help you get focused, get clear, and get into the market. We're actually going to be running campaigns in real time to go and do two things. One, make a direct offer, or two, get appointments. I actually want to do that in real time, have you launch. So I'm actually going to give you pre-crafted campaigns in the live event, but I'm also going to do a custom campaign for you at the event. That's why we're not selling lots of tickets to this event. I can only do this for probably about 30, 40 people max, right? So it is $97. It is a Web Event Good. I know Johnny's signed up. I know a few other people have come along. If you want to join me for the 2 days, there is a bonus. There's a portal you get access to immediately. I've done some training on how to sell paid strategy sessions where you can get paid for your time rather than giving away free strategy sessions. It shows you how people can actually generate a fair amount of income. I have a simple plan that focuses on generating recurring revenue clients. I've got a fast strategy to get new clients. There's a whole bunch of campaigns that are in that strategy. There's a sprint for sales, the things that I would do if I was sprinting for revenue. All of these trainings are available immediately prior to the event in a private portal. They're well worth $97, about a couple of grand's worth of training there. But the $97 ticket, if you go to consultingunleashedlive.com, we are 2 days. It's 4 hours each session. I do 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. PST. We are literally going to go through the exact things that you would maximize your opportunity to go and generate clients. So if you want to visit, if you want to scan with your phone that QR code, that's going to take you directly to that page on your iPhone. Or if you're on a desktop, you can always just type in consultingunleashedlive.com. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask me questions. We've got somebody who's just put in the chat. I'm there. Johnny's there, yes. I'm just going to put this in here. That's the URL there in the chat if you want to go to the website. Like I said, $97 is going to do a world of good. If you'd like to help some people out to take care of the world, which I believe the world does need a lot of help, especially in underprivileged countries right now, and especially how they've been hammered through the pandemic. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to help one child have their education paid for an entire year with a $97 ticket. 3 families are going to get fresh, clean water plumbed into their homes. Fresh, clean water plumbed into their homes for the first time. That is life-changing for those families. And we're going to plant 20 tangerine trees for a farmer, so they've got fruit that they can sell to their communities, they can support their family, and we all need to plant more trees considering the climate that we are in right now in the world. So if you want to join me, just go to consultingunleashedlive.com, book your ticket, $97. Ticket for good. You'll get access to all the bonus trainings immediately. Those trainings are worth a few $1,000s. So you'll get access to things you can apply straight away. And you'll be able to join me for a couple of days on the 25th and the 26th of March. So with that, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask me a question. If you want to scan, if you've got your phone, just scan the screen. It'll put you straight to that website. You can see it on your mobile phone. Other than that, I'm happy to answer questions for you. If you have something that you want me to help you with, let me help you with that. If you've got a question, just type in the chat. Love to know what your biggest takeaway or a takeaway from today's training has been for you. I know some of you have been to my trainings. You've probably heard some of this before, but the key here is to execute on it. If you have a question, feel free. If you've had an insight, feel free to chat here. Otherwise, I'm going to say thank you for being here. I am going to hop on a training tomorrow, so there'll be another message out tomorrow. Tomorrow's training, I'm going to talk about actually extracting some of the challenges or some of the problems that markets have. And I'm going to talk about how you can use those problems to engage those markets. So I'm going to do a training tomorrow. It's going to be on the same time at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be here live. If you want to join me, feel free to join me. If you know anybody who needs to be here, let them know. If you go to businessunleashedlive.com, that's the Zoom link to hop and join me on the Zoom link if you're watching this replay somewhere. But other than that, I will see you at the Consulting Unleashed Live event, the web event for good. And with that, I want to say thank you for being here. I hope you have picked up some ideas. Love to have you implement them. If you want to give some feedback, just give me some feedback in the Facebook group over at Consulting Unleashed. Other than that, I'll be here same time, same bat channel tomorrow, spreading the love and sharing the love. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy your weekend. Take care, everybody.